And welcome back. Joining us this morning, Dr. James Surrell. Thank you so much for joining us again today.
Great to be here. Thank you.
All right. Now, I do want to warn folks that the topic we're going to talk about, it's irritable bowel syndrome. Some folks might not really have the stomach for it this morning, but really and truly, for those of you who can stick with it, it's really something to talk about, because you were telling me that, this can hit a person at a quite early age.
Absolutely. The most common time of onset is actually late teens, early 20s.
Wow.
It's a very common condition. The estimates vary a little bit, but we believe somewhere between 10 and 20% of the population. So we're talking perhaps at least 30 to 60 million people have the symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome in the United States alone.
Oh my goodness. Now, what are some of the symptoms that people should be keeping an eye out for?
Typically, when we don't believe stress causes it, you might be a little predisposed to it, but if someone is under stress for whatever reason, final exams, job, whatever, then their bowel reacts to that. And it reacts to it by causing some cramps and bloating in the abdomen, and that's most commonly followed by an episode of diarrhea and kind of an urgent thing where I've got to go use the restroom now, kind of a thing. But the bloating is common in the cramps, and then it's often relieved if they go use the restroom.
All right, but now this also sounds very similar to what I've heard about Crohn's disease, is it called? Is that the same thing, or are they two separate?
That's a great point. And irritable bowel syndrome is abbreviated IBS.
Okay.
The other ones that are the inflammatory bowel disease, or IBD, very similar, would be colitis and Crohn's. And that's a great point that you make. They're very, very different. IBS does not go on to cause other things like bleeding and whatnot. It really impacts your life. But Crohn's disease and colitis, those actually are an inflammation in the bowel itself. And irritable bowel syndrome, the bowel looks normal. It just gets kind of overactive, if you will, when under stress. Okay,
so if you have IBS, say you're uncomfortable going to a doctor for it, is it something that if you don't treat it can develop into something worse?
It doesn't develop into anything worse, except your bowel starts running your life, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And the treatment is actually very straightforward and simple. And again, we've talked in the past about high fiber, in the diet. And fiber is great because it absorbs liquid. So if one has kind of loose runny stools, the fiber absorbs liquid, slows you down. If people are constipated, which is less common with IBS but can happen, it absorbs, brings liquid in, speeds you up. The other big thing that fiber does is with irritable bowel syndrome, it decreases the pressure in the colon. So you feel a lot better with a lot less bloating, and the symptoms can almost go away with some daily fiber.
So it's something that really can be treated just by changing your diet?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, not bad. All right. Well, again, thank you for coming in, letting us know a little bit about it. I know next week you're going to have another topic that you're going to fill us in, get us on some track to better living out there, and I thank you again for joining us.
Well, I appreciate you doing this. It's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate the job that you folks always do.
Oh, well, thank you.